evening. This is a meeting of the Township Committee, February 19, 2013. The notice requirements provided for the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Notice that this meeting was properly given by transmission to the Asbury Park Press, the Star Ledger, the Independent, and the Trooper Times, and by posting at the Middletown Township Municipal Building and filing with the Township Clerk on January 11, 2013. Committeeman Fiore.
Here.
Committeeman Massell.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Murray.
Here.
Committeeman Sittenbreeze.
Here.
Mayor Sharpenberger.
Here.
Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence to honor the troops serving worldwide, defending our freedoms, constitutions, and way of life. Thank you. Our first item on tonight's agenda, we have a certificate of appreciation for the Employee of the Month for January, Sergeant William Colangelo. Could you please come forward?
We've had, over the years, since I've been on the committee, quite a few employees of the month for a variety of reasons. And this, I think, is unique in the annals of employees of the month as far as this. And I'm going to have Bill or Chief Owens explain a little bit more about it. But apparently, there's a program where we can buy surplus materials and everything from computers to vehicles. Oh, okay, very good. Better yet. And we participated in the program, and one of the, we got 2 Humvees, so we got 4 Humvees, 5 Humvees, 2 Deuce and a half, big trucks. Okay. And and correct me if I'm wrong, you saved the life of one of those Humvees.
Well, I participated with a group of very unique individuals, police auxiliaries and Office of Emergency Management members. We took a total of 17 members of our community had their homes at the height of the storm, where the flood waters were between 5 and 7 feet high. On the Shaw Harbor community, we specifically took 12 people out there, and then a family over on Willow Street. All I did was drive the truck, try to go see young people and go to the place.
Tremendous, but what it would be better. This certificate is awarded to Sergeant William Colangelo by the Mayor and Township Committee in recognition of outstanding service to the administration and residents of the township. You are hereby designated Employee of the Month for December 2012. Congratulations.
Say a couple things. You know, this particular thing is what we're recognizing Bill here for tonight, but Bill does much more than that for us. He's our liaison to not only the auxiliaries, the Office of Emergency Management, Police, Middletown Police Auxiliaries, which you saw during the hurricane, because that's what we have them for. But he also is our liaison officer to the Domestic Violence Response Team. He coordinates our police applicant backgrounds, and we do them once or twice a year. He coordinates our field training program for the new officers when they graduate the academy, to take those theoretical teachings of the academy to the practical application in the field. And he also does the grants, he does some police grants. But the unique thing was, when he came to me about this law enforcement equipment that was government equipment that was surplus, he said, we can give all this equipment for free. He says, there's a Humvee with 500 miles on it. I said, they're not going to give us a Humvee with 500 miles. But sure enough, we got a lot of good brand new equipment because the government's de-escalating the war abroad and they're turning over the equipment, and so they're giving it to law enforcement to make use of it. So we're going to make good use of it. And I'll tell you what, we got it none too soon than we got it before that hurricane. And I'll tell you what, every piece that we got, we used. And it was amazing. But it was all him looking for this stuff online with these, he calls it a grant, but it's more like free equipment that's bestowed on us. And I'll tell you what, thank the federal government for giving it to local law enforcement, state police, and we made the best use of it. It's all because of him. I appreciate his efforts.
on the agenda tonight, I'd like to invite a few members of the Middletown Lions Club to please come forward. Lorianne Aliwa, Larry Caminiti, and John Giordano.
Before you do this, I just have to say something about the Lions in general. Anybody who knows this organization, you really can't, you just can't say enough good about everything they do for this town. I've been to events about the Lion Association run by the Lions. They do the eye examinations, and they have a fundraiser every year around the Super Bowl. Usually it's on Super Bowl Sunday. This year they did it on Saturday. Just tremendous. They do a lot of tremendous work for the town, and they're always there. We call up and say, listen, we can use help with this or that. This charity needs help. They never hesitate, and this is just another example of what they've done. They really come through in a big way for the disaster relief. There's a lot of folks in Middletown who are going to really appreciate everything you've done and the good news. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Larry.
So every year we have this fundraiser that we do around the Super Bowl, and usually it goes into our general charity. But this year, since Sandy, we've been spending, as a group of Lions, spending a lot of time fixing homes with the Jersey Shore Work Camp program. So we put in hundreds of hours into that program throughout the community. So the chairperson of this particular event, John Giordano, suggested that we do something different with the money this year. And we got a unanimous vote from the club to present the $2,000 that we got from our fundraiser and put it in the relief fund, because it would go to good use, and we know that there are people here that will make sure it does.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
John, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Our next item, we have a presentation from the Port Monmouth Volunteer Fire Company. If you'd like to please come forward.
Mr. Mayor and Township Committee, as the President of the Port Monmouth Fire Company, and on behalf of the Port Monmouth Fire Company, we'd like to thank each and every one of you for your support after Hurricane Sandy. Taking time out of your personal lives to come down. We know you've been very busy up here with everything that was going on, but it meant a lot to us. Whether we're serving meals and bringing supplies, everything just meant a lot. And without your help right now, Port Monmouth Fire Company wouldn't be as far along as we are. We'd like to thank you. I'd like to give you each a t-shirt that the fire company got me.
On the front, we have our emblem of our fire company, and two hurricane flags, and then on the back, the Middletown Strong. If you've seen any of them around or not, but we're trying to sell the devil out of them. We do that.
If they don't fit, I'll be more than glad to exchange with you. Today is the Deputy Chief's birthday also.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. And before you guys go, I just want to say something about the Port Monmouth Fire Department. This goes really for the whole fire department, but especially that all of us were at the firehouse regularly from the time of the actual event, the weeks after. And I'll never forget one day, we brought up, and I told this story the other day at the firehouse, we brought a news crew up from Channel 4, and you walk into Port Monmouth Firehouse, and Buddy took me for a tour, and you can see where the water level had come up, the stained walls. They had already cut the drywall out where it had risen. The Mennonites were there, the ladies handing out hot food, and you had the back where they were dispensing groceries. It was surreal. It was a surreal scene. But it was amazing the way everybody's spirits were so high, even with all of the damage. There was still piles of debris around, driving through the streets, people pulling drywall out of their houses. But I think the firehouse was a sort of a symbol and really a way of showing the neighborhood that, hey, we got knocked around a little bit, but we're still here. We're going to come back. And I think that's what pulled that neighborhood together, made it, one unit, and that's why it's doing as well as it is. And you guys deserve all the credit for
Oh,
that.
yeah, absolutely. And you guys, I mean, you served as our central point location and, just everything that, we as a committee can't repay you for all that you've done. And I'll just say on behalf of myself, who served as mayor last year and worked really closely with Buddy and the members of your volunteer fire department, I mean, what a great example, not just to Middletown, but to all volunteer firemen. And as someone who was a volunteer fireman in the past, I can't tell you how much it meant to me to see, how you guys put, as you do every day, you put your, the people of this town before yourself, and even amongst all of you that many of you here that even lost your possession. So we can never repay you enough. So thank you.
Thank you.
Right, yeah, that's it. See you next year.
You can turn it to the other side.
Yeah,
I'll turn it to this side.
You guys have.
If in 2 years and 4 years you figure this out.
There we go.
You knew we needed 4 hands.
Keep it happy, go, it's almost done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys take a victory tour. Thank you so much.
Buddy, I can say out, everybody else wants to, how much, when do we get?
We have a Facebook, Fire Company Facebook page, where they can come to the firehouse on Saturdays and Sundays.
On Saturdays and Sundays, from 1 to 4.
And they're $12 for the t-shirts up to 2X, and then 2X is $15. We also have
And we're.
And what's your Facebook page? What's the Facebook page? Share that.
Our next item on tonight's agenda, we have the approval of minutes for December 3rd, 2012 workshop meeting and January 22nd, 2013 executive meeting.
For approval?
Second.
Committeeman Fiore.
Yes.
Committeeman Massell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Mayor Sharkey.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve minutes. Our next item on tonight's agenda, we have a consent agenda, which would include Resolution 13-84 through 13-96, including bingo, raffle, and volunteer firefighter application.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Committeeman Fiore.
Yes.
Committeeman Massell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Mayor Sharkey.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt the consent agenda. This time we have Resolution 13-83, a resolution authorizing payment of bills for February 19, 2013.
Move for adoption.
Mayor Fiore.
Yes.
Mayor Michelle.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Mayor Sedambrino.
Yes.
Mayor Schaffenberger.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolution 13-83. We have Township Committee comments.
Mr. Sedambrino.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I see you're switching things up. What? Did you? Yeah. This morning, my comment is that this morning I did have the pleasure of attending the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, or the CEDS, at the request of Freeholder Director Arnone. This was the second of as many meetings as I've attended at the request of the county, and essentially it was a combination of area elected officials and area business leaders coming together in a small consortium to get an understanding of how all of the towns and the businesses came together to deal with the past hurricane, and more importantly, some of the items that we've learned collectively from that. So that the county at this point is running this in small groups throughout the county to gather this information, and then we'll eventually put out a summary of all their findings for everyone to read. So it's one of many steps that the county is doing to try and prepare better for the next time as we move ahead. So that's all I have for today, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Fiore.
I was planning on making no comments, but I'll make two quick ones because of the check here. But I just again want to thank the Lions Club and for their generous donation to the Middletown Disaster Relief Fund, along with all the hard work that they continue to do for their organization, for the township. I know several of those members are also on Community Affairs Council and do just an excellent job with that. With respect to the Disaster Relief Fund, just a little bit of an update. We're in the process, the board of that fund, which is a separate 501c3 non-for-profit entity, and the board is finalizing an application process, an application for which we hope to have out very, very shortly, and hope to be starting to take applications in the beginning of March. We will make an announcement from the Disaster Relief Fund when that exists, and for round one of the money that we've been able to fundraise, which has been very, very aggressive in terms of us using our personal connections and the generosity of people like the Lions, of people that Mr. Nelson and his firm who made a very nice, sizable donation to us, and for those in the community who made a donation. We plan on trying to get that money out as starting as the rebuilding process starts now. So the board is just finalizing their information there. There's no need to Oprah request any of that information. Anybody has any of those questions can just contact me directly, and I'd be happy to disclose any information I have about our efforts and what we're going to try to do from that separate private entity. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Michelle.
No comment.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Murray.
Thank you. Just very briefly, I know the firemen are gone, but I'd like to thank them for the great T-shirt that they gave us. And again, I'd just like to reiterate that they really were a rock in the storm for us. Even though they had sustained so much damage and loss, they opened up their doors and allowed the town to create basically a distribution center and a place for volunteers to congregate and the community to come to, during that very difficult time. So I'd like to thank them again, even though they're gone, and I love the T-shirt. So thank you.
Just a few things. This past Sunday, I attended the Dorchester ceremony at the VFW Hall. It's an annual memorial for the sinking of a World War II battleship, and there were 4 chaplains who died on it. It's a great ceremony, and it's really something to see. And it's something that I wish the schools would be a little bit more aggressive with, at least pointing out these different milestones and these different anniversaries. It was really a great thing. There were some younger folks there, but mostly VFW members, and myself and Congressman Palone and a few other representatives from around the state.
just very well done. The VFW always does a nice job, and they always really make a point of having the Pearl Harbor, the D-Day remembrances. A couple of other things. The Mayor's Cup was snowed out, but it was replayed at the Wall Rink, Great American Ice Skating Rink in Wall. And the crowd was very happy when I announced that it would be the last Mayor's Cup that will be played outside of Middletown. Next year this time, we're going to have a brand spanking new rink to play in. I also attended a high school North Assembly with Superintendent Bill George, and it was really a great thing. A lot of young folks stopped by on their break in between periods, and we had a great conversation. It was filmed, so you're probably going to see it more than you care to admit. You're watching it on the Township channel. And as far as the Disaster Relief Fund, Committeeman Fiore mentioned quite a few groups. It's always interesting to see, even some of the smaller donations, where they come from. And they come from the heart. A couple of kids from, I guess, high school, North and South, put on a heavy metal concert at the VFW hall, and imagine that visual, huh? And they raised, I think, about $800, and they were so proud of it. It was really a great thing to see. And we also got a check from a bicycle club that has some sort of a marathon that they raise money for charity, and they chose us this year. So we really have to thank a lot of folks, and we hope it keeps going, because people need a lot of help, and we intend to help them as much as we can. With that, that's all I have to say.
We have public comments.
Okay, before we start the public comments, I just want to remind everybody to please say your name and address, and to keep your comments to 5 minutes. We want to make sure everybody has a chance to speak. With that, would anybody care to speak? Seeing no members of the public? No? Click on the draw.
My name is Melanie Unger. I live at Braintree Terrace in Winthrop. I'm very concerned about the absence of documents to support the chargebacks to the library from 2009 to 2011. I submitted an OPA request asking for the documents, and in my request, I stated that I know the total of the chargebacks in 2009 were $1,025,000. And in 2010, they were the same exact amount, $1,025,000. In 2011, they went down slightly. They were $997,000. And I asked for each year, I would like to see the vouchers or other payment records for township services which were used to determine these calculated amounts. For example, the total amount of health benefits, total amount of pension benefits, workers' comp, etc. And the reply that I got from finance was that no records exist as per finance. So it kind of puts me in a quandary, because I'm trying to look 2012, 11, 10, 9, 8, to see what were these amounts. Did they go up? Did they go down? How was it broken down? And I just can't understand this. Like, how can it be possible that there's no physical records existing to demonstrate what the township outlaid money-wise on the library's behalf? And I was pursuing this information because I keep hearing this soundbite from the committee that says that the library wasn't paying their share, they weren't paying their pension costs. So I wanted to see, was that just something that was omitted and appeared this year or last year? And I was expecting to find this itemization that broke all the charges down the same way that they were broken down by Mr. Mercantante and Mr. Trisante in 2012. And then I found this document on the library website that said it was a letter to Mayor Scharfenberger at the time, this is June 2010, where the library asked for an explanation of the assumptions and calculations for the pension and health care accruals expenditures for the library staff. So it seems to me this was something that they wanted and maybe they weren't given, and coupled with the fact that there's no documents that there's finance telling me that the documents didn't exist. I just think that this serves as proof that prior to June 2012, when this library chargeback letter was sent by Mr. Mercantante, that the library really didn't know precisely what their chargebacks were for. I guess if you would want to show me a letter that shows that they said that they knew what they were for, that would be something else I might be able to see, but, so Mr. Trisente isn't here tonight, but what I was hoping to get from either him or from Mr. Mercantante was a breakdown of the charges that should become the working numbers in the 2013 library budget, because they're voting on it tomorrow night, and I just don't think it's acceptable to keep using these blanket numbers without some detail and some precise calculations, because the way the budget is now so tight, I mean, it makes a difference if it's 10,000, 5,000 off. And if they're going to vote on this budget tomorrow night and they're just going to use the same numbers that were for 2012, I really find that unacceptable. And I think that that vote should be delayed to coincide more with your calculations and what Mr. Trisente and Mr. Mercantante believe that they should be. So since Mr. Trisente can't answer that, is there any way Mr. Mercantante can answer that? Is there any way that you could meet with the library director and really with a fine-tooth comb come up with these numbers to be placed into her budget? Because I can give you a copy of her budget.
Mr. Mercantante, hasn't Mr. Trisante offered on multiple occasions since he has been here his assistance in preparing the library budget?
Well, yes, I mean, the answer is that what you suggested was done. We sat down with the library board on 2 separate occasions and went through how the calculations were done for the chargebacks. You're not going to find bills or vouchers for a lot of them because they're charges based upon the library's utilization of various components of the municipal government. So we don't literally bill them every time we have to process something for them, every time we have to search for something for them or handle a claim. We don't bill them per se. We calculated the chargebacks based upon the amount of time the amount of municipal time that goes towards supporting the library, but it's not billable per se. That you find a document that says this month it was $6,000 and the next month it was $12,000. So the records you asked for don't exist. But that being said, we met with the library board, we went through all the calculations, we modified some of the calculations after having met with them the second time, reduced a few of the items based upon our discussions with them as to exactly how they utilize our services, and we came to an understanding on the amount of the chargeback. So the library board finance committee was thoroughly versed in how the amounts were determined and they were agreed upon. So
well, I'm talking about going forward though, because I can't imagine that those numbers can be exactly the same, and that's what she's using for 2013. Because if the entire budget that you base those percentages on is going to change, and the total budgeted salaries that you base these numbers on, those percentages on, are going to change, then her numbers should change.
Well, yeah.
They may be higher. What I'm worried about is this, bill for $150,000 in 3 months that's going to decimate the library.
Well, it's really nothing for you to worry about. It's a library board matter. You don't run the library board now. I'm the library board, so...
As a resident who loves the library, I'm worried about it. I don't want to see the quality of service, the level of service decline.
What I'm suggesting to you is that the library board were involved in the discussion of the calculations for chargebacks. The fact is that yes, they may change slightly year to year, because circumstances might change. They might get more employees, they might have fewer employees. Things can change from year to year, so they might be recalculated. You calculate things going in the budget on what you've done prior. So we looked at prior years, and that was the amount determined to be appropriate for 2013. During this year, we'll monitor that, and there may be a different amount for 2014.
So if her numbers in 2013 are almost identical to 2012,
It's up against 5 minutes. It's over 5 minutes. We can continue this discussion afterwards.
Can I ask that he review this? I mean, if
You can leave it to review, but we're going to have to move on because I'm sure other folks want to speak. And we'd be glad to, carry on the conversation after the meeting. Thank you. Is there anybody else who would? Yes, sir.
My name is Jared Leslie. I live on Bray Ave. Just on the agenda tonight, there was something about a bridge at Hughes Creek in Bray Ave. I that Bray Ave floods constantly. What is the exact plan for that bridge? I mean, my home is one of 4 houses right at the end before that bridge. What is the county's plan, or is it the town, or is it the state that actually rebuilds that bridge? Because, as we've been told before, the problem lies within the federal government. Bray Avenue's been flooding for years, and no one was going to do anything about it. So, what exactly is the plan for that bridge? Because we're getting ready to start, reconstruction of our home, and, we don't want to end up having to wait because they're doing bridge construction to raise the house or do any other kind of reconstruction.
Well, what's being done on the bridge really shouldn't have any impact on when or whether you raise your house. That's a county bridge. Most bridges are county, unless they're on a state highway, then they're state bridges. Very few bridges belong to towns. So the county is going to be repairing. What you saw on the agenda tonight was giving the town happens to own some of the land on the edges of the bridge. So it's just like a strip of land to give them the right to access that land. So they'll be able to do the work necessary. They will close, as you know, obviously, the road is closed. It could take 6 months. It could take, the rights of entry documents we got from the county said up to a year, but it could be less than that. And they're going to do the repairs. That won't have anything to do with flood control. Literally just repairing or replacing an existing bridge. So it might, whether it be slightly higher or low, we haven't seen any design yet. I think
that's what we were worried about, like design, where they're going to actually stretch the bridge to stretch from the berm all the way down to the bottom where because Bray Ave was a speed strip to begin with, and but that was what we were concerned about, that it was going to actually, would they elevate Bray Avenue, lower it, or what they would.
Well, I'll tell you what, once the designs are done, just stay in contact, and when they're in, we'll have a copy on file, we'll be able to take a look at it. We haven't even seen anything.
Okay, thank you.
If you want, you can leave your contact information, and we'll get in touch with you when it comes in then. Okay? Leo, I saw your hand up before.
Sure, sir. Just write your contact information.
Yeah.
Leo Christopherly, 121 Cranberry Court, Middletown. I'm concerned about the perceptions and misperceptions regarding Ashbrook. And I have an article here by Jordan, February 17th. I think there was a letter in the Asbury Park Press within the last few days that brought your name up. And so the implication, and I've read other articles, the implication seems to be that the perception, and I said it could be a misperception as well, in the press is that politics has played some role in Middletown's contracting with Ashbridge.
Leo, I can't say absolutely to too many things, but I can tell you absolutely not. Was there any pressure or was there any political considerations? In fact, quite the opposite. The state we were offered the option to use Ashbridge. They had the equipment, they had the capability to handle the volume of material that we had here. Now, if you remember back just a few months, it was chaos here. And we really had to move a lot of material very quickly. And they did an admirable job, they did a competent job. So I'm not going to go back and rewrite history or second guess what we did, which I still feel is the right thing because it moved a lot of material. You didn't want to create an unsafe condition, and our allegiance is to the residents of this town. First, second, and third.
So your situation, and thus your position here before, is that you were in a swamp with much to do, and you were in an emergent situation, so that you had to not go through a slow process of digging and all this other stuff, and the state made Ashbrook available for local communities.
Let me put your mind at ease as the mayor who's presiding in those discussions with the administration and was on those conference calls. Clearly, Ashbridge was one of the biggest reason, as the Mayor Scharfenberger mentions, that where they were selected was the fact that they actually had the manpower and capability to not only take the storm-wrecked debris, which was, Ted, correct me if I'm wrong, but hundreds of thousands of cubic yards and piles that are substantial of debris damage from the flooded houses, but also it was a war on two fronts where every tree, thousands of trees were strewn all across the western portions of the town. If you saw the equipment and the manpower they had, there was no one else that could have done that. Now, if you actually, one of the other big reasons we decided to go with them is from a FEMA reimbursement perspective. We had to act quickly. There's a time period that you have to act in to make sure you get your maximum reimbursements. And if you don't act in that time period, you wind up putting yourself at risk to get less reimbursement. So we made the decision that would be. And if you look at tonight's agenda, you actually see that not all of the costs, we tried to save costs anywhere we can, and two of the things that we did tonight was to not have at Ashbridge, when we were monitoring them and working with them, to discard some of the stuff. We needed them to pick it up. But we found that we could save some money actually once we got it to a central place like, Ted, you know the couple places that we have, this compost site, where actually went out tonight and we did bids and awarded bids tonight to vendors that are getting the material out of there now at a cheaper price. So we've been looking with the fine, the magnifying glass.
And Ashbridge subcontracted this out for Middletown under Ashbridge subcontracted. Were you able to get companies hauling debris companies from say within Monmouth County?
Yeah.
Were they within down to Middletown?
Yeah, and Leo, keep in mind too, Middletown is the biggest town in Monmouth County. So we can't just go out and get one small contractor with a couple of guys in a truck. That's not going to work for us. We have to go out and we have to do this expediently and as cost effectively as possible while keeping in mind the safety and well-being of the residents, and that's what we did here.
I think Secodis is one of the firm tonight, that's a Monmouth County firm, taking away some of that debris that we've had piled.
Could I ask one question about the 14 million and the 9 million, which really comes to Middletown bearing, I think, the expense of 4.5 million, if I recall you were being quoted in the newspaper. You say there's a reimbursement. What is being reimbursed according to Jordan's figures of 14 million and 9 million, and the difference for Middletown being, according to your quote, another letter in the press, 4.5. What is the actual amount of reimbursement we could expect?
Yeah, Leo, one thing, don't quote a letter. That doesn't mean anything. But the article, I did say $14 million was out of cost.
You can correct the error and then give me the right information.
Yeah, and we were told various figures, 75%, 90%, 100% at some point. Right now, we're looking at 75%. So if you take the $14 million figure and you take 75% of that, theoretically, that's what we're getting right now. That's what the reimbursement stands right now. Whether that will change now with the funds that are coming into the state, we don't know yet. There's a lot of unknowns right now.
So you took out short notes to pay for some of the costs of this.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what the amount is and the principal and what possibly could be the cost of issuance plus servicing the interest?
Without Mr. Trasante, I don't know if we can get into those kind of figures, but when he writes notes like that, they're generally very reasonable.
Yeah, but it's not a bond, so it's a lot cheaper.
But they can be moved into bonds, can't they?
They can, but we wouldn't have that. But Leo, we haven't authorized that. We can only do what we've authorized. We only authorize notes, special emergency notes. to authorize the CFO when he needed to authorize those notes.
So,
We haven't authorized them.
Leo,
And I don't think we would because we
We're over 5 minutes already.
thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. And as you're walking back, I'll just give you a few, parting words. This is not an elective expense. We did not choose this. This chose us. And this is tragic on so many levels. The financial cost is just one of them to the township here. Pales in comparison to what folks are going through in their personal lives, but I just wanted to point that out. Yes, ma'am?
Linda Bell, 19 May Court. Two issues I wanted to address tonight, and they're related. One, I'm hearing that, as we know, as of January 9th, people had to apply for a reassessment of their properties, storm damaged properties for the 2013 tax year. And I understand that a lot of people in the last week or so have been receiving those numbers, what their new assessment will be. And I'm hearing that some folks are feeling that the assessment is still too high, that they were... Okay, well, I guess it's a minute. And then, so a lot of them are wondering if those are appealable. So that's my first question. Are they appealable? Somebody, well, let me...
Everybody's everybody's situation is completely different.
Right,
So
let me explain why
anybody can
I
file a
asked
tax
that.
appeal.
Because for some of these folks, one of the reasons they're a little bit upset is because some of them are living in areas that have been, the houses are condemned, they're not livable, they're not going to be rebuilt, and say they've been given maybe a 30% reduction on the building portion of the assessment. So that's one of the reasons some of the folks are a little upset and are wondering if they can appeal it.
Let me answer.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, I had this discussion with the county tax assessor recently. Understand that the criteria that was set forth to modify assessments as a result of the storm came from the state, and the state provided criteria to the counties. So this is being done the same way in every affected county in the same manner. So there are different levels of damage that result in different levels of percentage of reduction in assessed value to the structural portion of the assessment. So this is not, some people have gotten to calls from people who think that our tax assessor is being too harsh or whatever. And understand, this is the state who's established the methodology for doing this, and it is appealable.
So would we say that these assessments then, or the reassessed values, are going to be fairly static, that you're not expecting to see too much fluctuation in that going forward for the year?
I don't know about that. There's obviously some structures end up getting demolished, then that would certainly change the assessment, but we can't presume that.
Okay, so some cases maybe yes, some no. Okay, so my next question, and it is related to what we just discussed. I sent you a note last week. I came across something about a federal revenue loss assistance program, which is designed, it's a low-cost, low-interest loans from the federal government that are designed to supplement municipal budget in order to stabilize the tax rate. And the deadline for applying for that was February 15th. Did the township apply?
No, we're not eligible for that, because you have to hit a certain threshold of loss of revenue. And we weren't close to that.
You know what that
It's
threshold?
5%.
5% total.
Total assessed value, total loss of assessed value, and most municipalities will not achieve that. Not that it's an achievement, but most municipalities will not reach that level.
That's actually.
We were very aware of it, we did the calculations.
And the reason I had asked about the assessment phase, whether or not it would fluctuate, related to that application, if we did apply, I was going to ask you if it was amenable to fluctuation.
We weren't even at the
Okay.
ballpark.
No, just to clarify that, 5% of the total rate in place,
Yeah.
which is a little more than $9 billion.
Yeah. You have to hit that. Not too many towns.
And that's a federal program. Do you know if there are any other programs that offer that type of loan assistance to supplement?
Again, it's a federal program, that's been administered by the state. So it's just like all the, well, it's like a lot of other federal things. They give the money, they give the funds to the state. So the state would actually provide the loan, if you will, to offset the loss of revenue. The state would provide it, it comes from federal dollars.
So do you know if there's anything similar that's being offered at all that might supplement?
No, but I think people think that there's another program being offered by the state, but it's actually the same program.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would care to speak? Seeing no further members of the public come forward, move to close the public portion and move for adjournment.
Mayor Fiore.
Yes.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Mayor Sedambrino.
Yes.
Mayor Schaffenberg.
Yes.